And welcome into another edition of Spits and Suds, a victory edition of Spits and Suds. I'm Gavin Spittle of 1053 The Fan, joined by EP Rinkside Shap Shots. That's where you can find his Substack, where he gives you all kinds of good information. The author of the book, We Win Here. He's also written for D Magazine, Detroit News, Detroit Free Press. I mean, he's all over the place. Sean Shapiro.
Well, Gavin, we're here tonight, so that's good.
And the co-host of these post-game shows, most importantly, the Sean Shapiro. So is this a victory toast or a Wyatt Johnston birthday toast?
I don't know. It's a great question, but it's right, either way. Let's do it.
Oh,
there you go.
On the microphone, man.
Yeah.
So tonight, Sean, we don't have a sponsor, but I'll throw in this plug. This is Austin East Cider's original dry cider.
Ooh, nice.
And the saying is how do you like them apples? And I thought it was fitting that I'm cracking that open tonight.
Yeah.
Sean, how do you like them apples? That was impressive in so many facets. That was, we are coming into your house and we mean business. And I will say this to start. I never like to hear news about Valeri Nichushkin like that, about any player. Don't know the details, so therefore not much you can say, but it's too bad in several arenas. And at the same time, then we hear about the news about Devin Taves.
Yeah.
And an illness. So two of their big players down.
Yeah, let's get the. We're going to talk all about the game. We're going to talk all about Wyatt Johnston, but
yep,
I think we should let's get the biggest story in hockey out of the way first, because that is what this is with Valeri Nichushkin. You have the guy who was tied for the league leading goals in the playoffs. And roughly an hour before the game, there is the news comes out that he is entering stage 3 of the NHL Player Assistance Program.
Yep.
Stage 3 is you are suspended without pay for 6 months, and the only way you make it into stage 3 is you violate your growth, rehabilitation, whatever terminology you want to use, from stage 2. I'm not going to. It's irresponsible for me to say what exactly he violated, but here's some other facts. Nichushkin was at morning skate today. He was in line rushes this morning. The plan was for him to play tonight. That was the whole So this is, you talk about not last minute, but the blindside for the rest of his teammates, right? This is something that happened. Whatever it was happened within the last couple days. Not the last couple hours before the game. And it's I'm looking, my pal Corey Massasak, who covers the Avalanche for the Denver Post, has a tweet out already from postgame where this is the type of feeling in the Avalanche locker room. I'm going to read this quote verbatim from Corey's tweet here, where it says, Jack Johnson, this is Jack Johnson, who's a veteran player, who's won a Stanley Cup. Really highly respected voice in that room. Got the cup first, actually, right after Gabriel Landeskog in 2022, sorry. This is him on Nichushkin. He made his decisions. That's all I'm going to say about it. He made his decisions. And then Corey also noted that Nichushkin's nameplate has already been removed from the Avalanche locker room.
Oof.
They are, it is, you talk about... There's only, I hope, we know Val has his demons that he's dealt with, whatever they may be. I don't feel it's my place to speculate anything with him on it, because I don't know what they are specifically or anything like that. We do know last year in the playoffs against Seattle, he had the weird incident where he left the team and 911 was called and there was a woman in his hotel room and that was never explained. But we're talking about a player who I don't know with 100% certainty because this stuff is all kept quiet, rightfully as it should be with player assistants. But I don't know if I don't know of any other player that's made it to stage 3 of the player assistance program. Like I don't know. And you're like, that's why when like it came out, a lot of people were like, wait, there is a stage 3. I didn't even know this was a possible thing, right? So this is with whatever he's dealing with on the human side, I hope the best for him. And I hope that's because he's clearly dealing with his own demons and everything. So I hope the best for him on that. We say that, and now it is important now to pivot properly. To pivot here, there is a hockey game that gets played tonight. And as much as I don't want to belittle the human factor if we want another human to figure their life out here, it impacted the hockey game. Like, I think there's no way it didn't impact the hockey game. You combined what happened with Nichushkin with Devin Taves being a late illness scratch, and you had a Colorado team that was effectively falling apart at the seams before the opening faceoff. Yeah. And credit to the Stars, they didn't let them put themselves back together to be that, like, what are those, like, wounded tiger stories where, like, the guys, like, instead they, led by Wyatt Johnston, they just said, okay, you're falling apart, we'll just dismantle you even more. And the Stars did a great job with that.
Yeah, and there's a little part of you, I will tell you this, that as a DFW guy through and through, to see Caleb Jones struggle like he did,
it's a tough.
Glad he's seeing time, but tough seeing the Frisco native end up in the box a couple of times, and clearly you could see that he needed a little bit more experience and minutes in this series. The Stars took advantage of that, but I agree with you, Sean. It's one of those things where I felt as though they stepped on the gas tonight. And let's look back to last year when Joe Pavelski was injured and kind of the blow that had and the wind out of the sails. But the next game coming back inspired. Now, it didn't happen before game time like it did tonight, but teams can rally when these things happen. And I know it happened close to face-off. However, I give a lot of credit to the Stars. The other thing, Sean, and I was talking to you about this during the game, that not only took the wind out of the sails for the team, that building was like a regular season building tonight.
It was
bad. It was tough. And listen, you have to play, and I'm not trying to say I'm like sensitive Gavin here, but you kind of, in a way, you felt for him. You're handed that, and that's what you have to deal with. But at the same time, like, I just felt like, the Stars play, and then the Stars never allowed that crowd, even with some big hits on Logan Stankoven. It immediately turned into a Stars opportunity. And this team and their resilience when something happens to quickly flip the script is impressive. And there were so many small aspects that I loved tonight. Jamie Benn charging the net at the end of the period. And, granted,
that was an incredibly terrible penalty call.
It was, wasn't it?
That was pushed awful.
In.
That was awful. And I feel like it didn't get nearly
right. It did not. No.
Tonight was the worst produced hockey broadcast I've ever watched at the NHL.
Yeah,
like, tonight was the worst produced hockey and I watch a ton of hockey. I watched today alone. I watched 2 games at Worlds, which are well produced because they're on TSN. And it's the TSN feed I'm getting on ESPN Plus, and I watched some video from. I'm working on for Elite Prospects right now for our draft guide, which is. It's lovely where we don't have to, like, it's lovely, Kevin. We don't have to worry. I'm working on this draft guide for other projects. I don't have to worry about it, think about it at all for the Stars right now. It's a great feeling. But so, like, I'm doing some goalie scouting reports for our draft guide, and so I'm watching, like, U18 goalie film from, like, the USHL and in the second division in Sweden and everything, and I'm used to bad production value in a hockey broadcast. Me of all people. I have never been disoriented and sick of a broadcast the way I was tonight. It was so bad. It was between the the way the camera work and the seemingly forgetting how to use zoom to zoom out to try to get the entire
Yeah.
picture, and then the sound mixing was bad too. Like it was. I normally don't like to go too far in on the broadcast because I think it is a field you and I both work in, and I don't like. I believe in. I
Yeah.
know that it is a harder job than people realize, but tonight was bad, and it was a bad showing for ESPN in the NHL tonight.
Yeah, the multiple times that they went to Leah Hextall and, she was waiting to go and stopping and starting. And
Yeah.
there was
Oh
just
my
like
god.
various, yeah, I mean, it was, I agree with you. The audio's off. There are just so many things off. And yeah, I'm like you, Sean. I don't want to pile on, but
Yeah.
it really does. I think TNT does a good job, but ESPN makes TNT that much better
Well,
as
I think
far as,
yeah, and
and,
I've
and
said
I
it on this
listen,
show before.
I'm
I
sorry,
was gonna,
go.
oh, no, I was gonna say, like I've said it on this show before. But like one of the things that Turner did, and I give Turner a ton of credit, when they got the rights, they looked at okay, what worked for our inside the NBA, our NBA
Yes.
coverage. They went and looked. Okay, they got experts in their field.
Yep.
Turner has gone and hired hockey people on the producing side, on the production side. ESPN just moved, and I've said it before on the show, but it's worth repeating tonight on a night when the broadcast looked terrible. Um, the fact of the matter is, when you have the Sunday night baseball guy running your hockey broadcast, this is what you get. This is something
Yeah.
where, like, there are good hockey producers. There was some good hockey producers. Like, well, I don't think NBC Sports had the greatest studio show. NBC Sports actually had a pretty good game
Oh,
product in my view.
Doc Emmerich, sure.
So yeah, and so there's people that were good from NBC Sports. Some of them get hired by Turner. Some are still available. ESPN could hire them before Game 5. Like it is,
Right.
like that to me is the big one here. So
Yeah, I agree with you. Just personality based. I
yeah.
mean, the fact that, they found Henrik Lundqvist, who was
Oh, he's so
naturally
good.
just a quiet
So
person,
good.
but he's so good and his personality is
Yeah.
shining. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, everyone loves Paul Bissonnette because of what he brings to the table. And, he's a character, and Anson Carter's a character, and Liam McHugh fits right in. You're right. They basically replicated what the NBA does. And then I look at Mark Messier in between periods, and we're talking a legend, a guy that would grit it out. And I hate to say anything bad about Mess, but it's just tough. It's just there. And that's
Yeah.
what I hate. I mean, I want, and I'm hoping ESPN can, approve in that area. But as for the game, um, now let's start the segment we like to call Wyatt Johnston.
Yeah.
And happy birthday. We are currently in the central time zone, 9 minutes away from um, Wyatt Johnston turning 21. And as I tweeted, about to turn 21 and feel like he's had 21 years experience in the NHL. Um, just the knowing where to be, the spacing, the hustle, the shot, um, even that second goal he scored, in which could have been a one-timer, but make sure it's on his stick, but quick enough to release. Amazing pass by Robertson. And Sean, that power play just kind of typified the other night. I thought you pointed out so well how many stars touched the puck the other night,
Oh yeah.
on that Dodonov to Sagan goal. And when you rewind it, you see how many people were involved. And Robertson with that slap pass to Wyatt Johnston, sure, that's the story. But when you look at the work of Joe Pavelski, Mason Marchment, and Miro Heiskanen on that power play, I mean, controlling the zone, muscling in front of Georgiev, just and the puck movement, I just thought it was really, really an impressive showing by the Stars on that power play.
Yeah, and there's even parts of it too that um I think there's a really nice understated point where Pavelski lets that puck go through
Yeah.
just to Johnston too, because it's a play where Pavelski easily could. It's a hard pass, and Pavelski basically wands his stick over it. He doesn't put it on the ice, but Pavelski could easily catch that pass and try to do something with it or whatever right there. I thought just like there's so many little elements of that whole play where the Stars just, that is a well-wired humming machine right now. And I mean the whole special teams unit, right? Like there's a game one in the penalty kill. Game one, the penalty kill lets up 2 goals against Colorado. Since then, what was supposed to be Colorado's lifeblood has just been completely dried. I mean, Colorado went -1 for 2 on the power play tonight, right? Like, and with the shorthanded goal by Johnston, and then even the power play in the third period, they had 0 shots. Like, this has been such a after game one, this has been such a well-built series for Dallas. And like, it's crazy to think about, Gavin, because like, even in games where a team might sweep someone or something like that, right? Rarely do you have the fact that Colorado has led for 0 seconds this series.
It's amazing.
Like, that's remarkable. Like,
yeah. It really
lead,
is.
Yeah, only lead is an overtime goal. That's it. The only lead in this series.
So I thought of this question because I try to think like objectively, and that's one of the things I love about doing Spits and Suds. So I wanted to ask you, if you're a Colorado Avalanche coach and or scout, from all that we've watched of Wyatt Johnston, is there something that can happen to slow him down or prevent him from being on this? Because he's so consistent, Sean. And sometimes when that's the case, I know we're seeing the making of an outstanding player in progress, but I also like to say, okay, what's his weakness that a player can go after that can shut him down? And is there one?
One of the great things about Wyatt Johnston's game, and it's because it's not skill-based, and this is what's so great about Wyatt Johnston to me. There is skill, obviously. He is a highly skilled player. But
Sure.
The reason he is so effective, it is not his skill. It is his hockey IQ and his reading of how to do everything right. All of the simple things right. In theory, and you hear it from the time you're 5 years old, and the first time a kid puts on they put their skates on, you get told, stop at the net, stop at the net, stop at the net. In theory, it's really simple, easy thing. You know how many NHL players don't stop at the net? How many guys just kind of, they get there, they keep moving? Like, tonight's, the shorthanded goal tonight, it happens because he doesn't get happy feet about the situation. Like, he obviously has the happy feet on the forecheck and forces the turnover, and then Sam Steele gets the puck. Sam Steele's been really good the past couple games, by the way. Really good, Sam Steele. But Johnston goes to the net, stops moving, takes the space, and that's why he scores the goal. He stops at the net. It's such a simple little hockey thing that, this is the thing, if you're someone who's listening, who's playing the game, just think about that. Like, sometimes just stopping is the biggest thing. And if you're an opposing team, if you're an opposing coach and you're looking at like that goal and that play, for example, you're like, okay, how do we stop him on that play? Well, maybe you don't turn the puck over, and like, do you stop? Like, you don't, like, there's not a lot about Wyatt Johnston's game that relies on this high end skill. It's hockey IQ. It's hockey IQ and doing the right thing, putting himself in the right spot, and then allowing his skill to flourish when the opportunity is there. And that's what makes him such a dangerous player, because it's not, like, let's look at Jason Robertson on the flip side, right? Like, Jason Robertson had to kind of learn last year, how do I become a playoff style player? Another guy who, let's give credit to, very good tonight. Very, very good tonight.
He's playing heavy in this series,
too. He is. And he's a guy who had to learn. His skill took him everywhere. And he had to learn the other stuff. Wyatt Johnston has always had the skill, but it's the other parts of his game that have allowed him to reached this spot where he has, and he's going to be a problem in the Central Division for other teams for a long, long time, and Stars fans should be really happy about that.
Yeah.
When you're worried about underarm sweat and odor, it can be distracting. Like this. Or this. Or even this. It's time to silence those distractions with a spray of powerful Dove Men Plus Care Antiperspirant. Featuring our 72-hour protection and soothing 1/4 moisturizing cream. Because when you forget about your underarms, you can focus on being unforgettable. Dove Men. Forgettable underarms, unforgettable you.
Looking for a job is lonely. Endless searching, phone calls that go nowhere, applications that vanish into thin air. What if you could link with dozens of local companies who are hiring right now with just one connection? That's Express Employment Professionals. Find us at expresspros.com. One connection, endless opportunities, and no fees ever for job seekers. Express Employment Professionals. expresspros.com.
Bosch tools are built for workers. Bosch's powerful hammer drill has kickback control to help work go more smoothly when you need it. The 2-in-1 impact driver and wrench quickly changes between bits and sockets, so you only need one tool instead of two. And the X-Lock grinder switches wheels up to 5 times faster than standard grinders when you need to change tasks in a hurry. Bosch tools take care of the job and you. Bosch tools, what hard workers deserve. Learn more at BoschTools.com.
You know, I want to give a tip of the cap to the scouts of the Stars because, you know, Wyatt Johnston, Jason Robertson, Logan Stankoven, these are not guys, Sean, that jump out at you as far as like when you see someone, you're like, wow, that guy can skate amazing and stuff. We were, you know, just as you were mentioning, but they do so many things right. And it seems as though the Stars have put together a team that has those kinds of players. Logan Stankoven tonight. I mean, I really like the pinball nickname Craig gave him because that guy absorbs hits but dishes them out at the same time. Like you can't tell him that he's his size because he plays like he's 6'2". And it's just the tenacity he comes with and just the motor is that, you know, that's just energy on the ice.
Did you see the play in the first period where he leveled Rantanen in the corner?
Yes.
Like, that's not supposed to happen. We're talking about a guy who's 5'8", 170, and Rantanen is 6'4", 225, I believe. Like, that's not supposed to happen. And Stankoven is dense in the best way. Okay? like he's compact, he's dense, he really understands his low point of gravity extremely well. And I think there's times where Colorado is starting to learn and Vegas learned in the last round where he's a guy that you look at his height and it's like, okay, you make an example of how physical we are and you beat that guy up. And he is not getting beat up nearly as much as he should simply with how sturdy he is. And I think that's something where it's like a boxer with a strong chin, right? Where it's like, it just starts to frustrate you, where it's like, why is this guy still coming back? Why is this happening? And he was good again tonight.
First period when he absorbed that big hit, I think Manson caught him with a hit, but that same shift, Robertson catches one of the Avs with a nice hit too in open ice. So
the Jason Robertson clip, I was joking with someone over text. The Jason Robertson basically goes and he played the game that I'm sure everyone in Toronto is sending to Mitch Marner right now, right? Like we're hearing all of this top players not showing up in the playoffs and everything like that. And that's kind of the conversation we had about Jason Robertson last year. And this is the example of a star player. This is the example of the star player basically finding ways to be that playoff style guy too. So
Yeah. And Mason Marchment's net front presence was certainly felt, and you could see Colorado was getting a little agitated at Marchment, which is always nice to see. You don't want to draw penalties, but if you can just get to that edge, that's not a bad thing. And listen, not a ton of action on Oettinger at times, but sealed the deal. I mean, that's pretty impressive when you let up. Is it 3 goals and three? Is it what was the last score? My goodness.
For game was 5. So tonight was 5-1.
Yeah.
Then it was 3-1.
Yeah. So 2 goals in the last 3 games. 2 goals in the last 2 games. Yeah.
Ready for a fun Jake Oettinger stat, Gavin? That I dug
yes,
out
please.
Tonight? So,
yes.
In game 1s, 8 shots on 41 goals. Sorry, 8 goals on 41 shots. An .804 save percentage in game 1s of the playoffs. After game 1s, 16 goals on 259 shots, a .938 save percentage. That's from game 2 on. Oettinger's rocking a .938 save percentage. Now that's that game 1 discussion. I mean, if Dallas gets the job done later this week and everything like that, I almost laugh and say, like, we might as well not even do a pod after game 1 just because we can just assume that they're going to lose.
That was the case last year too.
Yeah. But it's I mean, he's been dialed in, and I thought his rebound control was great tonight. The 1 goal against was a weird, like, I want to give a quick stick tap here to, like, Jonathan Drouin comes in. Like, obviously he got buried by the Nichushkin news and everything like that. But Drouin comes in, and for people who don't know, Drouin was, when Montreal went on that cup run in 2021, he wasn't part of the team. He was in the NHL player assistance program dealing with anxiety and mental health and everything like that. And so this was his first playoff game since the bubble in 2020. And he was one of Colorado's best players tonight, and that was a good story tonight that kind of flew under the radar because of the storm of everything else that was happening in Colorado right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Evgeny Dodonov once again, another point, this time a goal, making it 4-1. And Sean, you're right. He's making the most of his minutes. 10:39 last game, 13:10 this game, and he's tough to take out of the lineup now.
Doesn't it feel like he always has like one huge miss right before he scores? like it's just like he's got 3 goals this playoffs, but he also has like 4 or 5 times where it's like last round against Vegas, blows the puck wide. Game 1 against Colorado, misses the net, right? But like it always seems like tonight he had about 6 minutes or 4 or 5 minutes into the third period, he has the chance in tight where he takes a little bit too long of a time and Georgiev's able to make the save. Like it always feels like he has like that big chance and then scores later. So it's
right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Spits and Suds listener at MB Tendy Sean asked if anyone questioned Wyatt being our next captain, his unselfish play on the empty net goal should end that debate. Wyatt showing he chooses team success over personal success on that play. My question for tonight is if Rupe is out, do we see Bork? Thanks, guys. Frosties for everyone. Cheers, MB. But I don't think he's the next captain.
Don't think? I mean,
I don't know. We'll see.
For a long time, I was a big believer that Jason Robertson was the next captain of the Stars because the captaincy is not just a hockey position, right? The captaincy is also a marketing and social and branding position as well. Like, look across the league now. Other than when Kyle Okposo was the captain in Buffalo, how many captains right now are like Darian Hatcher is not a captain in today's NHL.
Right.
Okay. Right? Like today's, and this would be a fascinating conversation for you next time you bring Luds on to hear his view on how this has gone, right? Like today's NHL, the captaincy is so much more of we give a promising star player the letter, and then we let them grow into the leadership. That's the common thing, right? Like we
Yep.
see these guys getting like, obviously the Avalanche captain right now, Landeskog, who is not playing and is out right now, but like he was the youngest captain in the NHL ever at the NHL, like 19, 20 years old or whatever it was. And then Crosby got the C at 20, and McKinnon, like those guys weren't ready to be captain at that point. You look across the league, all of these captains are star players that had this, that were part of the, really checked those boxes of branding as well, right? And for that reason, it's hard, especially for this franchise, to not see the second, it's to not see the next coming of an American goal scorer, an American-born goal scorer, who is really good with the media, who is really good with the. So I still easily see Jason Robertson be the next captain of this team. Now it's funny because Wyatt Johnston lives with Joe Pavelski, so Wyatt Johnston could easily be the future Joe Pavelski, where he's the guy who has the A, but is really probably just as much of the captain as anyone. So
it's a fun conversation. If you talk to the old stars in '99, one of the leaders in the room that he'll never talk about is Luds, and it's pretty amazing when you talk to those former players how much influence Luds had in the room, and how much policing he did, and how much watching. I mean, everyone thinks of Luds at the bar, which is correct, and at other establishments, Sean. But he was also the guy grabbing the other player, saying, "Hey, no."
Well, it's the great story of. I think it was. I wrote about this in my book. It was when the Stars traded away Kevin Hatcher for Sergei Zubov. Obviously, it was Sergei Zubov's a Hall of Fame player, but before that happened. It was Guy Carbonneau was incredibly well respected in the Stars organization. And Darian Hatcher was the captain of the Stars already, and Kevin Hatcher was there. And Guy Carbonneau, basically in a team party function, whatever you want to call it, basically went to management and said, "You will never win with Kevin Hatcher on this team, because Kevin Hatcher is a terrible influence on his brother. And when you have a terrible influence on your captain, you will never win." About six months later, whatever it was, Kevin Hatcher was traded for Sergei Zubov. And the rest, they say, is history. So
Wow. The name of the book, once again, Sean, good time for a plug on that one.
Oh, yeah. That name is that one is 100 Things Stars fans should know and do before they die. And it's
great reviews on Amazon on that one.
Yes.
All right. At Allison Taylor 32. Hey, Allison. She says, Gavin, Sean, tell me that ESPN will be better in the future rounds. She goes, go Dallas Stars, have to win one more game. Yeah, I think a lot of people are talking about the coverage, and Sean and I mentioned that at the beginning of the pod, Allison. Let's just enjoy the Dallas Stars and just, go from there. I will say I think TNT does a really good job. I think they do a good job of, talking about both teams equally. So, yeah.
The one thing I will say is I will say that in the next round, every ESPN game should be the quote unquote A team, right? Like it should be McDonough, Ferraro, and Kaplan. It should be the A team for pretty much every game in the next round. The weird one tonight to me, Gavin, and it was kind of like, it felt like Steve Levy was not good tonight. And once again, I don't like criticizing broadcasts and everything like that, but
I understand.
But Steve Levy is normally a much better play-by-play guy in my
Very
opinion.
good.
And normally a much better play-by-play guy. And it was him and McDonough, Ryan McDonough, kind of got they just I'm not sure if they got pulled down because of I don't know what it is, but like it's the overall quality of the broadcast wasn't good tonight, and it was interesting to see that. So.
Yeah. Question. When do you think the NHL will announce a potential Friday night game time? Will they wait till Wednesday night?
Let's see. We got because right now it's it depends on it's you have to see. Florida and Boston are playing tomorrow, right? So if Florida and Boston are playing tomorrow, and that series is now that series is 3-1 now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Florida plays. So it's because the other game on Friday is Florida Boston. So if Boston wins, if Boston wins tomorrow and locks in a game for Friday, we know that Boston will probably get that 7:30 Eastern primetime slot. We know that will happen. So we will know. Essentially, we'll know the game time. We'll know the potential game time for a game 6. They'll probably announce it tomorrow night after whether Boston what happens with the Boston Florida game, because that's when we'll know that. It's all of these TV windows drive everything still. So
yeah, it's kind of interesting because Carolina with a massive win tonight, and they kind of get a breather in that they don't have to play until Thursday night.
Yeah, that's the. I'm not sure I'm curious of what the arena availability setup that is, because it's interesting they're not playing Wednesday. Now it's better for Stars fans' life purposes because it means you get a 7 p.m. local start on Wednesday, so that's nice. But must have been some arena availability thing with Carolina for them not to be playing Wednesday.
Yeah, it's interesting. I looked on the website of PNC Arena, and the next upcoming event is Game 6, Hurricanes versus Rangers. So,
or maybe it's tied to MSG's availability. Maybe it's tied to the fact where you're going to do that, and then so you had to move it at some point, one way or the other. So you were just picking when your range was. So
yeah, no, absolutely right, absolutely right. All right, as I tab away, looking at PNC Arena, back to Twitter, Millsy at Newey fan. Who's getting in the Dallas Stars' way now? This team is dialed in. Depth and hot goaltender is getting us where we want to go. Crow Wi-Fi, our buddy. Love the podcast. Depending on how bad Hintz's injury is, do you think we'll see Foxa or Dellandrea filling in?
Foxa first. I would see Foxa first. But
okay.
Yeah.
So Foxa in, and that means Dodonov moves up, Sean?
Probably. That would probably be the play there. So,
yep. Okay. Brad Gibson at History Horn. Another great road win for the boys. It seems Dallas is really working hard to stop McKinnon from winding up with speed out of his defensive zone. Also playing 3 across at the top of the defensive zone to limit Makar's room to dance. Great stuff from Pete DeBoer.
He's coached a really good series. Pete's done a really good job this series. So.
Yeah.
I know.
Absolutely.
I do know one of the. I'm curious of. I hope someone got video of this or whatever. But one of the things I like about Pete DeBoer is he knows how to keep it light. He knows how to keep things going in the right way. And you may remember that Pete DeBoer has his tradition that after a particular big game or something like that, you get to chug a beer, right? Like we remember Pete DeBoer chugged a beer in the Vegas locker room after they won in Vegas the first time he was there, back there as a coach and everything like that. So I would it would be fascinating if Wyatt Johnston's first legal American beer is chugging one with his coach, because I would love that. I would love for that to be the case.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny. There's so much talk about it. We don't even know if Wyatt is a big drinker or not, or even cares at this point, But,
well, he's Canadian too, right? Like he's Canadian. He's from the Toronto area. He's been able to, and in the off season, he's been able to legally drink for 2.5 years. So it's like,
No, you're absolutely right. Our friend Leah Simakopoulos, who's been doing a good job covering for the Dallas Morning News, says that DeBoer had no update on any of the injuries tonight. That's expected. And they did have a shorter bench because of some injuries. Updates tomorrow, obviously, when the boys return home to Dallas. So, yeah, absolutely.
This spring, Raising Cane's invites you to grab life by the chicken fingers. So get out there. Be you. Do you. Embrace whatever makes you, you. All while enjoying Raising Cane's hand-battered cooked-to-order chicken fingers, crispy crinkle-cut fries, buttery Texas toast, and that secret recipe cane sauce that makes everything that much better. So go on. Savor the day.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love.
Buzz around artificial intelligence is seemingly everywhere. Is your portfolio keeping up? Consider the Global X Artificial Intelligence and Technology ETF, ticker AIQ, which invests in dozens of stocks at the leading edge of this disruption. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. Technology companies can be affected by rapid product obsolescence and intense industry competition. Before investing, carefully consider the fund's objectives, risks, charges, expenses, and more in the full or summary prospectus at globalxetfs.com. Read carefully. Distributed by SEI Investments Distribution Co.
Sean, thoughts defensively tonight as far as what you saw? Obviously, limiting to one goal, limiting the opportunity, the chances. I thought, let me just say this. In the Vegas series, when Vegas was effective, I don't want to sound simplistic, but you could hear the clapping of the sticks a lot. In other words, getting sticks on pucks and just clogging things up. And I felt that was the way tonight, Sean, where I just felt as though whether it was a block shot or stick on stick, it was just everything was being like Colorado couldn't sustain any kind of momentum in the offensive zone, struggled to get it in. And just, the zone time breakout was, fascinating to me. I just thought it was, they clogged things up defensively.
Yeah, they you go back to what happened in the third period of game 3, and it just kind of a continuation of that. It was really good tonight. I love the way the Stars forwards have really, like, we talk a lot about the defensemen. We give Tanev a ton of credit. We do all of that. But I think the Stars forwards have done a really good job handling the Colorado speed in this series. It's that I think needs to be stated. Just like how much the Stars forwards have taken that upon themselves to make things go even further as well. That's been big. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Tanner Wilson, who does a great job of tweeting out all kinds of like hockey updates. He follows the USHL, NAHL. He tweets out, "It's time for new nickname for Wyatt Johnston. Drop the baby Wyatt nickname." Yeah, I would certainly say that.
I never liked the baby. I never liked the baby nickname anyway.
Yeah, it should be Daddy Wyatt Johnston now.
It's funny just to see. It's funny to see how, like, remember, Gavin, 2-3 years ago, you and I you would probably see the questions and everything of people complaining about the Stars drafting, right? They'd be like, "Oh my God, they can't draft," or whatever, right? The fact of the matter is, I'm seeing so many other NHL writers and fans watching this series, and they're just wondering where the hell the Stars found Wyatt Johnston. How did this not happen? It's the other team I know really well in Detroit. They, in that draft, you want to talk about draft misses, right? Or draft, like, what could have been. Detroit traded up in the draft. Dallas traded back in this draft, remember? So Detroit traded up to take a goalie and traded back, and the pick became Wyatt Johnston. Obviously, it's who knows one way or the other of how things turn out, but it's other NHL fans are incredibly jealous of what Dallas has right now with this kid.
Internally, Paul Bissonnette was talking, and he's mentioned this story several times. with your closeness to Detroit, Sean, about scouts transferring from Detroit and joining the Dallas staff? Have you heard anything about that?
There's been a lot. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Joe McDonnell, who runs the Stars draft, ran the Dallas draft for a long time. There's a ton of Detroit fingerprints on Dallas from Jim Nill's time. Even Jim Lights, who was one of the key executives who left Detroit and came to Dallas in the early '90s. So there's been a ton of movement from Detroit to Dallas on that, and as Steve Yzerman has kind of moved things around a little bit in the Detroit organization, there's been some people who have left Detroit and come to Dallas. So that definitely that's not a new story. It's just it is a it's one of the I heard a story once when from someone in Detroit. They talked about once they give Jim Nill a ton of credit for the dynastic success the Red Wings had. Like the Red Wings, obviously they won 2008, they run in 2002 and 96 and 97 and everything like that. And Jim Nill was an assistant GM with those teams. Somebody once said to me they felt like kind of a lot of the soul of the Red Wings kind of left when Jim Nill left for Dallas. They talked about from how important Nill was to everything. Ken Holland was a good GM. He's in the Hockey Hall of Fame and everything like that. But Nill was the person who a lot of people felt deserved so much more credit than he probably got for Detroit's Cup championships and everything like that. So
Yeah. All right, let's get some more tweets in. Let's see. As I scroll down, and thank you everyone for your thoughts on tonight. Kyle White celebrating a birthday. Best birthday present I could have gotten from the Stars tonight. What a dominating game. Let's wrap this thing up on Wednesday. Yeah. That would be absolutely amazing. Why Joe number 53 is elite. And I love seeing Twitter handles about Wyatt Johnston. He put, when I tweeted out about Wyatt Johnston, add 2 to his tally. Also note the first 3 guys on this list had 30 to 40 playoff games to start. And basically it's talking about which player has the most playoff games before the age of 21. I'll read some of the names, Sean, for you. Yager, Stahl, Roenick. Let's see. Is that Clark, Lemieux? I mean, just amazing names. So just kind of shows where Wyatt Johnston stands in these in these playoffs. So should be a rocking barn on Wednesday night. Excited. Frosties will be flowing. You got an early start, which I know Stars fans have coveted. So why not just finish this thing? And what do you think about Vancouver and Edmonton as far as how much longer that series is going to go?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, right? Where you got it's because they play tomorrow night, and it's only it's weird because it's only a 2-1 series right now. Like that game last night, Vancouver won, and it felt more like for whatever reason, I kept in my head, it kept feeling like, oh wow, Vancouver's up 3-1. And you're like, oh well, that was only game 3. Like it just for whatever reason, just it got that vibe of feeling that way. We don't know for sure, but the rumbling there is we're about to see a like Edmonton. I mean, so Vancouver is on their 3rd string goalie with Shelovs right now.
Yep.
Which is a name we're gonna have to. I'm not sure if it's Shelovs or Seelovs. I've heard it pronounced 2 different ways. It's something we'll have to. If it becomes something we have to focus more on, we'll have to double check with the Vancouver people to make sure we get it right. But the Edmonton seems to be the rumbling I've seen tonight is that Cal Pickard might get the start in Game 4. They might be.
I could see that.
They're going to Cal Pickard for Game 4, and that game I do think there's. I feel Edmonton wins on Thursday. I just feel like that series, Edmonton has been the better team. They just haven't gotten the goaltending.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. So I feel it goes 6. I'm not sure who I think Edmonton ties it, and then I feel like it goes 6. And if you're Dallas, you're in the spot where the first goal, right, obviously, is to advance. Just advance. That's the first and only goal, right? But it would be nice to have some time for Rope Hintz to feel better. To have some other bumps and bruises healed up, to maybe see if Yanni Hakanpää is closer. All those things without having to play games through it. That's something that, from a Dallas perspective, your goal, obviously, you just want to win. But there is a extra management perspective of it would be really, really nice to get it done in 5.
And we were talking today, Sean, about Connor McDavid getting cross-checked and hit hard behind the net, and the NHL has responded. Carson Soucy, the defenseman that kind of cross-checked him high, has been suspended for a game, so he will not be playing in the next game. So, but it was interesting how McDavid's there, and that happened, and let's just say the Edmonton Oilers were not rushing to pile on, and that was kind of surprising when your star gets hit like that.
Yep.
That's when you take a penalty.
Yep.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. Well, man, this is fun times. This is great, and super excited. Stars fans, you should absolutely be charged. Your team is playing so well right now, and it would be amazing to finish it off on Wednesday night. But you put yourself in an amazing position after going down a game, winning 3 straight. So, wow, what a run. This is pretty awesome, and it's awesome to do these post-pod shows with you, Sean, and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
It's been a lot of fun, man. It's been a lot of fun to talk this stuff out after the game, to kind of dive into all this stuff, and it's been cool to see kind of how this listenership has grown for this show. I know you see way more of those numbers than I do, but it's I think, and I've said it before, but I want to bring it up again because one of the things I see on my own site, right, is Stars coverage. There is a place for Stars coverage. I see in the last month, over my site, Shap Shots over at Substack, is we've experienced, like, it's grown by 115.
Wow, that's
like,
great.
115 people paid subscribers in the last month. Like, so we're growing that too, where it's like there is a place for Stars coverage.
Yeah.
And people, the readers, the listeners here have shown it. And so I just want to say thank you for that, because this is the type of thing where we're not having this conversation if we're not having these conversations if there's not the demand for this show like there's been. So I just want to say thank you to the people for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge thank you. And let me also say on 105.3 The Fan, we've upped our Stars coverage, not just with Spits and Suds, but if you listen to Sean and RJ or the KNC Masterpiece or G-Bag Nation, multiple times per show, they'll dive into Stars hockey as far as the game and what the guys' thoughts. And every show is now tuned into Dallas Stars hockey, and that's awesome to see as well. So I really want to tip the cap to our hosts and our producers. They're on the bandwagon. They're asking questions. When I go into the meeting room before the shows, it's like, I saw this. What do you think? And it's just awesome that, this town is kind of, you can just feel it. You can feel it. And it's nice. You're right. There is, room to expand. And, I'd be very happy if I was Brad Alberts in the Stars organization, because there are a lot of eyes and ears on this organization right now. And I think that's terrific for the future. And it will only grow if they advance once again to the Western Conference Finals. So one game away. And that's really, really exciting. But first, they need to take care of business. And it starts on Wednesday night. So excited, and let's see what happens. And hopefully multiple Frosties will be cracked before midnight on Wednesday evening. Sean, thanks again, man. So appreciative. And our producer Greg Finley sent the numbers, and yeah, I mean, it's awesome. We still have a lot of time left in May, almost half the month left, and we've already reached what we usually reach in a month, and that's just awesome. And we're just going to continue producing these podcasts. So super excited to bring you multiple episodes. For those wondering, Craig Ludwig will join us on Thursday morning this week, and I do have a homework assignment from Sean to ask him as far as when he knew the time was right to retire. So I have that homework assignment to get that story, because we really haven't heard that story from Luds. So we'll talk about that. We'll also break down Wednesday's game. We'll be on at the post-game show. So Joey Erickson, who's got a cool Stars podcast, he'll join me tomorrow, and we'll talk about this game and look ahead to the next game. So lots of podcasts ahead this week on Spits and Suds. Hey, enjoy the day, everyone. Your team is up 3-1, and we'll talk to you soon.